Action. Take one. I've noticed I've been doing a lot of takes in my recent Zooms. So today I'm going to kind of do maybe two things. And I kind of have it in my head how I want it to play out, and it's great up here. So we'll see if it, by the end of the class, I might go, yeah, maybe I should have done it a little bit differently. But what I want to do is I'm going to feature a song today, like many of us do, okay? But what I want to do is, as I decide the sounds and the changes I want to make, I want you to see what I'm doing to get it, okay? So some of this I'm just going to do on the fly, okay? I don't know I kind of have in my head what sound or two that I want to use, and now I just came up a third one before I hit the record, which I asked you to write, because I may use that. And I'm going to feature just a classic. I played it about 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. I did the last about two weeks ago on the last the GENOS 2 Funshop we did, and the song was called "Can't Help Falling in Love," and I kind of referenced the style sounding like an Ed Sheeran song. I don't remember if I mentioned his name or I couldn't remember his name. And I think I said the red-headed popular pop star in England. And I believe the song that he featured, that he wrote that was big was called Perfect. I think that was it. But when I heard this style, I kind of thought of that, but I used it for Can't Help Falling in Love. So let me get it. Let me show you what I'm doing as I'm doing it. We'll start with this here. So I'm going to switch to this camera. I'm back on my last style that I used, which was R&B, and it's in the pop category. And page 3 there, and it says 6-8 chart ballad. This is a great style because I think it's, if you notice, it's in the pop category. And when I hear this, I think of that Ed Sheeran song, which is a current pop hit, or recently, I want to say within the last few years. I don't remember the exact timeline. But it still lends itself to the good old 50s triplet feel, okay? And what I'm going to do is start off with, let's see here. I think I'm just going to start off with one touch setting 1. And it automatically gives me that sound. Now the sound it pulls on there is simply a steel acoustic pick guitar. Now this is just what the instrument is setting up for me. Okay? And then I have the choice of intros and endings. And let me just hear intro 1 here real quick. I know what I did. I just remembered another cool feature. Okay, that's intro 2. Let me hear intro 3. They're both kind of nice. I think I'll settle with 3. And then the
ending, not intro.
Intro. This is intro 2. Oops. Here's intro 3. All right, and then the main variation, let's see. Main variation A. I can go either way on that. And then let's listen to the ending. Sounds like intro 2. Let's see here, number 3. I don't know. I'll just choose it when it comes up. So I'll start with intro 3. I'm going to start off with... Now, as I'm playing, I might use the one-touch settings, but I'm going to purposely change things around as I do it. I just found another one I want to try. And this is going to change by the time we're done with the class, okay? But let me start by playing the song. All right. And here we go. Action. The crowd roars.
Yay!
I'm glad I have an easy mute button on here. I felt the sneeze coming.
Oh,
I don't know if you saw me jump. It wasn't because I was excited about and I was like, oh, I better turn that off real quick. It's warm in here.
Question.
Yes,
Robert, does that machine play one finger chords?
it does. It has a one finger option, and then it has what's called an AI option. And I always say to use the AI option because the minors and the sevenths are a little easier to use. When you're doing the one finger chord, just the one finger chord, I can't remember which one, the minor chord is done differently, and so I wouldn't recommend that. But you
Robert,
always
I have a question.
Yes.
On that, the way you did that ending,
Uh-huh.
I want to try making endings like that. Now, you followed the ending with your right hand when you finished.
Sort of, yes.
Okay, how did you do that? Usually the ending incorporates a right hand, but how did you do that? It sounded like you just did the right hand and only the left was playing on the keyboard.
Well, let me give you an answer you're not going to like. Are you ready?
Yes.
That's going to probably have to be a whole other class.
Oh,
Really, really, because that involves what it involves is knowing your scales, knowing how the introduction is going, and kind of knowing some of the notes. And
okay. I kind of figured that.
it seems a little challenging if it was explained. If I gave you an answer in 5 minutes, it might seem like, oh, I'll never be able to do that. But if we did, one of us did a class on that, you would find that it's a lot easier than you think. And the reason is this. And I don't know about you, maybe you, but all of the music I use, all of it is an easy play. when I learn a new song and I don't know it by memory, I go hunting for it just like everybody else. I go to Sheet Music Direct or I check my Hal Leonard books and I find it an easy play. And then I play it over and over to the point where I can play it without the music. What I don't do is use traditional music. I can figure it out, but it would take me forever to learn. Because a lot of times traditional music are written in its original keys. It might be B flat, and you have to remember the flat up in the front of the score, and you have to, that's part of the reason why I gave up piano years ago. It's one of the reasons, because it was like too much work. So I still to this day, after 30 years, when I learn music, I use Easy Play. Now, having said that,
in the key of C?
well, that's my next question.
Yeah.
Having said that, what key is the Easy Play music usually in?
C.
C.
C commonly, most commonly. The second most common is
G
actually F.
or F.
Yeah.
F is more common, and G is the third on the list. And every now and then you get one that they just do something a little different. Up Where We Belong, for example, if you look at the Easy Play version, the original song starts in the key of D. But in the music, Easy Play, it starts in C. Towards the end of the song, it transposes up. And it goes, and in the music, I want to say it's D flat.
Well, it's C sharp or G flat, one or the
Right,
other.
but the Easy Play actually plays the rest of the song using those chords. So it's rare. But so everything I play is in the key of C or F, and then occasionally G. So what happens is, once you learn a song that you can play along with the intros in that key, and you'll notice that a lot of those notes, a lot of this phrasing you can use for multiple
Songs.
styles in songs, should I say. So here's an example. Here is the same style. It's an F. And then I'm going to put the ending, I'm going to kind of play along with it, improvise. Here we go. Let me do the longer one. Here we go. Let me just pull a totally different style. I'll go to jazz, big band swing, okay? Now let's see, I'm gonna do the F chord, ending. Let me put on a different sound. I'll just leave it there. Okay, ending. Anyway, I played some of the same notes. So, and what happens is after you start kind of getting the hang of doing simple songs and finding notes that work, you'll find that you can use them frequently. And then you have to kind of hear for the chord. But that could be a whole class. I've actually thought about teaching a basic beginner's, for hobby players version of improvising. Yeah. And maybe playing along with endings. Endings are a little trickier because some of the products out there, like this thing has how many styles? Hundreds? So those endings change quite a bit. And sometimes the endings even change keys depending on the style. Okay? So I know it's not really the answer you want to hear, but that's kind of
I get what you're saying.
Part of it is you need to know the scale that it's in.
Well, that's it. Practice. Yeah, I get it. I kind of thought that's what I was going to have to do. Take a style, know the scale, and then just practice running the right hand with the style and the chord changes, and just keep practicing. In other words, just improvise.
I would start with something simple like C.
Oh, sure.
Key of C.
Yeah, of course.
All right, so let's go to the Can't Help Falling in Love here. What I wanted to do is take a nice basic song. It's in the key of F, all right? And what I wanted to do is kind of share some settings. Now, I don't know what settings I'm going to use. I used a couple of them. I'm going to do it as I go. And what I want to do is show you what I'm doing as I do it, okay? So the first thing I did is now I'm on another rhythm that I didn't want, or not to say I didn't want, but another rhythm that I chose to show an example, but it's not the one that I'm going to use. So let's go to my screen here. All right, so the first thing is, I'm on the big man swing, which is what I was just doing to show that example. So I'm going to touch the big orange button, okay? And when you do, you get your styles. And I went to pop and page 3, and I went to chart ballad, okay? Now on the panel, I am pushing one touch setting 1. You don't see it, but you're going to notice it when I do it. So now it's on the 8 chart ballad.
Yeah, there we go. Steel.
And you'll see that it has that steel acoustic guitar, and I'm doing one touch setting 2, 3, and 4 just to kind of see what's there. All right, and I'm just going to play a few notes. Being a guitar player, I always love guitar sounds. But anyway, I think I'm going to start off simple by just keeping it that way. And the other thing I'm going to do is I think I ended up choosing intro 3. All right, if not, I'm going to now. And then I noticed when I was playing, I used main variation B to start with, but I'm going to start with actually A this time. Okay, so I have 6-8 chart ballad, 6/8 chart ballad. I'm going to leave the tempo that it gives me. One touch setting, 1, which that's what it sets up for me. I have my main variation A and my intro to 3 lit. Now there's one other thing that I want to do here, and this is important for some of you. This is kind of a, this is one of those, I call it comments that I get and questions frequently, is the touch of the keyboard. As you know, the GENOS 2 has multiple ways that you can play the notes on the keyboard based on how hard or soft you hit the keys, or not have to hit them hard or soft at all. Okay? So if you are saving your own setups, I'm going to recommend make a big note to self that check your settings at this point, so you don't have to go back and reset them or rechange it or save them. All right? So if you press the menu button, someday I'm going to figure out how to get 2 cameras at once. All right, where am I? Right here. Okay. So the menu button on the top right corner here, when I press that menu button, and 3, 2, 1, press the menu button, you get your menu, and you got a lot of options that you can change. You have menu 1 and menu 2. More than likely, it'll default to menu 1. I'm going to go to menu 2, and you'll see on the far right, the third one down, there's a thing that says keyboard with a gear and a keyboard. I mean, anytime you see a gear type thing, it's almost like it's another way of saying setting, a gear icon. Okay? So there is the setting. Now, I know we've said this on a few Funshops, but I'm going to say it again. So the initial touch, when they are checked, that means when you play the keyboard, okay, when you play the keys, you'll have to hit the keys, you have to apply some kind of, I call it pressure. You have to hit the keys hard enough so the sound comes out louder or softer. Kind of like a piano, but maybe not quite like a piano. Okay? Now, a couple of things on this. If you uncheck it, before I go into checking them, if you uncheck it, that's just the right hand. The right hand tends to be the one that most commonly needs to be addressed. The left hand, I typically don't have a problem with the left hand, how hard or soft, because the left hand sound, if you haven't noticed by now, the left hand sound that the GENOS programs for you is always typically soft already, isn't it? It's intended that way, so it doesn't overpower the background. You can turn it off if you like. But right now, if it's off and I strike a note on the keyboard, I'm hitting it as hard as I can. Okay? Now I'm going to hit it very soft. I'm going to barely touch it. You notice the volume didn't change, right? Because the touch feature is off. All right? The touch feature is off. So it doesn't matter how hard or soft you hit the keys. Now you see that fixed velocity? Basically, that impacts how strong or soft that your sound that you're pressing, the note that you're pressing, how strong or soft it will come through when the check marks are off. Okay? So here's an example. I'm going to put it down to 24. Actually, put it down to 1, see what happens. Now I'm going to press a note. I'm pressing the note. Can you hear it?
Nope.
You can't barely, right? Now, instead of touching and sliding, I'm going to use my spin dial just so you can see. All right? So it affects how loud or soft that sound is going to play at a fixed, that's why they call it fixed velocity, at a fixed setting. 95 is pretty traditional. But if some of you are using the instrument and you turn these check marks off and you still kind of have a little time hearing the melody, depending on the preset, you can increase that. And more than likely, you're going to hear it. And I would say if you bring it all the way up, it's going to be too loud. Now watch. For me personally, it's a little too loud, but your ears is what matters. Okay? So you can, if you're the type of person that you don't want that touch feature and you want to save some of your own settings, just make sure to check to see what that's set at. If you're one of those, I don't like the touch setting, just uncheck it and then play a little bit and then choose that number where you kind of like it, okay? Now, for me, I actually like a little touch. Marco, I heard him say once that when he uses the touch, he actually really bangs. He's kind of one of those that when he plays the keys very hard with his hands. Now, if you ever noticed Marco when he plays, if you ever seen his hands, he's really sometimes just hitting those keys hard. And so what happens is when he uses this touch feature, a lot of times he has it set for him, for his hands. And there's a few on here, and I'm going to make a couple recommendations. So you'll see I already have it on soft 2. I have it on soft 2 for a reason, okay? But all it means is, depending on what let me tap it there so you can see all of the options. So you see normal, easy 1, 2, soft, soft 2, hard 1, hard 2, okay? If you do it on hard 1 or 2, you have to hit the keys harder in order for the sound to come through stronger. My guess is that Marco uses that on a lot of his personal settings and when he plays concerts and things like that, because he plays the keys hard, okay? Normal is kind of what most people are using. It's an industry standard. So you're going to find you sit on a Lowry instrument and it has dynamic keying or keyboard, what is it called, touch or something like that. And some of the other organs, they call it something different, all the same. It's kind of the normal setting. So what the GENOS did is they give you multiple settings that you can try, okay? I tend to like to do soft 1 or soft 2. Soft 2 just means you don't have to hit it as hard as soft 1, okay? But it means also that you don't have to hit it that hard. If you hit it kind of soft, the note will come through strongly. So I have it on soft 1. Listen, I'm going to hit the note, barely touch it. I barely touched it. I'm going to hit it a little harder. You notice it's barely noticeable, isn't it? Now if I hit it much harder, it comes a little harder. I hit it softer. You can probably barely tell the difference. Now, why am I telling you this? Two reasons. If you are programming your own setups, which I'm going to show you, I know we've done this before, but we learn by repetition. You just got to decide, do you want this feature on or off? Oh, wait. I know why I didn't hear a difference, because I didn't check it. Duh. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to hit it softly. I'm going to barely touch it. Now I'm going to touch it a little harder. Now, can you hear a difference that time? Okay. It should be kind of subtle. Soft, the 3 notes. A little harder with 3 notes. Okay? So you got that? So you have to decide, do you want to use that feature or not? If you're not used to using the touch feature, I would say off or put it on soft. Let me put it on soft too and see how much of a difference. Now, I barely pressed it a little harder that time, and it came through a little bit stronger. So I'm going to leave it on the soft 2 setting for me personally. Now, side note before I go back to the class that I intended to do. Side note. When you are using, make a note. Write this down. Remember this. Because this right now is the one that I constantly get emails and questions about. And it can be a little confusing because sometimes it doesn't go off, sometimes it does. When you are using a rhythm, when you go find a rhythm first, like we do on most products, and you use your one-touch settings, okay? However you have your touch setting, whether you have them unchecked or off or on, it will always remain in that position. It won't change on you. Okay? I'll say it again. If you have this setting, let me put it back up here. If I have it set to that, where the 3 check, actually let me turn off the check marks. Oops. I'm going to turn them off. Okay? And I'm going to leave it right there. And then I'm going to come back to it, home screen. When you set up the instrument, when you set up the GENOS to play a song by finding a style first, like I'm doing here, just anything, doesn't matter. And then you use one touch setting. Now I'm going to press 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 sets it up for that style that you chose. Okay? I just touched them. Okay? Now watch this. I'm going to go back to the screen, and I'm going to put that menu back on, and you'll notice that the check mark hasn't changed. Here's one touch setting 2. Didn't change. One touch setting 3, one touch setting 4. Okay? It does not change. So I've had a lot of communication saying, I don't know, I turned them off and I started doing this and that and it came back on anyway. What am I doing? So now, look at the screen. I'm going to push a button and tell me what happens. Oops. Well, gosh darn it. So here's what happened. When you use the playlist, aka the song setup, as some of you might refer to it, or if you use custom presets that some of you have, or you get them from Marco, or you get them from me, or anyone for that matter, when you have your custom presets that you choose to load, they load the presets in the registration numbers here. Okay? Those presets, those registration numbers, are going to set it up the way it was saved. So if you go and you turn that off, and then you come back over and you start playing the presets, and then it comes back on, well, there's a reason for that. It's because when you save a preset, why are you saving that preset? For multiple reasons. You're saving that preset because maybe you like that rhythm, you like that sound, with the tempo. Oh, the drummer's too loud. You make changes that you don't have to do over and over. So you save it so you can instantly get it back the way you saved it. So when you go to press that button, whatever you did on that screen is going to change it back. Now, there is an option that in this case is not as ideal, okay? But most of you are familiar with the freeze button, which is like a lock. You have the ability to do that. There is a way to hold it. However, what you're doing is you're holding not only how you have that set, but it also holds the sound. So if this preset has, okay, you see there's a few sounds. So if I push freeze and I have it set, did you notice the sound didn't change either? However, the sound got locked, but so did the touch settings. It does both. So I wouldn't recommend the freeze in that option. Here's the workaround that would help you. And I know we've mentioned this before. So if you go to the menu, okay, and I have unfreeze checked, and I'm pushing the presets, okay? Okay, you hear the sounds changing? These are the 1 through 10 buttons, okay? All right, so far so good? Okay, so it's doing what it's supposed to. Now, if you look on the screen there, what I'm going to do is change the soft to, I'm going to, just for the heck of it, change it to hard, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is push those same presets, 1 through 6, and I'm just going to play the note. Okay, obviously it's harder to hear, but did you notice where it says touch curve does not change? So here's the point. If you are using presets, whether from the playlist or ones that are programmed into the instrument by Marco or whomever, and you kind of wanted those that you don't like you want it to not have to hit the keys hard, the closest workaround that would be ideal is go to the touch curve and put it on soft 2. Because the touch curve will not change when you're using the presets. It will always remain. And the touch curve soft 2 is the closest to being no touch besides having the no touch on. Does that make sense? So if you leave it on the soft all the time, okay, when you go to play, you should notice that whatever you're playing, I'm going to barely press the note. I'm going to hit it a little harder. They're not much different. Make sure I have it checked. Let me see. Yeah, it's on soft 2. Here's kind of softly touching it. Barely touching it. I barely touched it. I'm going to hit it a little harder. You can hear the difference, but it's very slight. Okay? So that's the closest way for you to do that. Okay? Now, Warren, you said, can't you use parameter lock? Can you expound on that? And I can answer that question.
Yeah, isn't there in the menu a thing called parameter lock? I know it lets you set a few things, and I thought the touch was one of them. I can't remember. It has a few select things you can lock permanently or globally, and I can't remember which.
Well, there's a panel lock, but that's not it. I'd have to go through. Marco and I have been poking around on this. We have not. That was the closest thing, and I'll keep looking, and if I come up with a better solution, I'll let you know. And if you find something, let me know.
Yeah,
That's a,
I'm gonna look at my instrument because there is a parameter lock. I just can't remember what it allows you to lock.
well, let's see.
Hit your memory button.
Presets. These guys, when you hit a thing, it programs these other.
We went into so many things here. The closest thing that I found was that, yeah, that's the closest thing that I found. So if you find it, let me know, and you'll be a hero. But at Soft 2 is if that right now is the current solution, then it's not the end of the world. It's a pretty good thing. Now, so let me go back to what I really wanted to teach. I digress. Okay, so what I did is I touched, now I have to go back to the rhythm pop, and I went to 6/8 chart ballad, and I chose this. I'm going to keep it on the soft setting. I like that sound. I'm going to push main variation A and intro 3, and that's kind of what I'm going to use for my first setting in this song. So once you do that, once you have it set, and you go in and you change the touch settings, whatever. At this point, saving the preset is one of the easiest things to do, okay? And I have to encourage, if you're not doing this already, it's okay to push buttons on the instrument and experiment. Now, they got some great presets already built in, I know. But sometimes we want to do our own stuff from time to time. Just remember, there's a reason why a button exists in anything, okay? There's a reason why we have a light switch on the wall, so you can push it and make it do something. There's a reason why you have a button. And to me, in the screen, I call these buttons, because that's what it is. There's a reason why you have buttons, and it's meant to be pushed. Who was the old character that was known for that? Dennis the Menace? Didn't he have a reputation for pushing things or being too curious? So be Dennis the Menace, if I'm getting that right. If not, then I made a move full of myself. All right, so I have it set up the way I like. I have it at the tempo. All you have to do is push memory, and then 1, and boom, it's all set up for you. That simple. Now, let me go back. When you press memory, you're going to see this come up on the screen. Now, I don't know if I want to go into this now because we can be another 20 minutes. But at this point, the way my keyboard is set up here, it defaults to almost everything on here. I mean, I guess you can check them all if you want. It's basically telling you, when you save this preset, what all you want to save. Well, I like the transpose saved. Sometimes I don't save the transpose, believe it or not, on purpose. So I can manually push the transpose. In this case, I am saving the transpose for a reason. The tempo, probably you're going to want to save that. There's cool things you can do with this. The voice, now I just had a class the other day on this. The word voice, by the way, is not voice like a talking voice. Okay? The word voice refers to saxophone, trumpet, choir, strings, guitar, all of the instruments that we refer to as instruments that the instrument has. That's commonly referred to as the voice. Okay? There is a vocal, there is a choir, those are actual voices, okay? But when you hear us refer to the word voice, so we're saying, try the saxophone as your voice setting or something like that, what we're saying is choose an instrument. So obviously you want to save that, and there's all sorts of other little cool things you can save. So it comes up, and then when I press it, and then I just press 1, and boom. So I have my preset saved just like that, okay? So then I might try it out. Okay, and I like it. Now I have it with the intro. Now what I'm going to do is turn off the intro. And let me poke around here a little bit. Let me play it a little bit. Okay, I like that. Now what I'm going to do is this. Boy, I'm going to do something really fancy here. So right now, when the intro is done and I'm playing, that's the sound I get. I'm on main variation A. In the song that I was playing, the version I'm playing, it repeats that verse. So I'm going to push main variation B, and let's just listen to it. Okay, I like that. So I'm going to save it, but I'm going to make sure my sync start button is on. So now I have main variation B. My sync start is on purpose. I have the same sound. I don't have the intro on. Okay, you can, but I'm not going to save my preset 2 with an intro. I already have it on number 1. Now, you can do it that way depending on how you want to arrange the song. There are times I've discovered 2 sessions ago that if you use the intro in the song, I think it was La Bamba. And when I was playing da da da, I hit the intro, and I want to say it was number 3. It actually played that part of the song. It was pretty cool. So go back and watch that class, the one that I did La Bamba on, and I found it by accident. In this case, I don't want to save an intro, so I just push memory 2. All right, that's it. It's all saved in there. So I play the song a little bit more again. Okay, I like that. So let me go back to number 2 here. So now what I'm going to do is I want to change it again. So there's a part of the song that goes. Okay, so I think I want a different sound. Now this part of the class, if you're kind of curious about how to find sounds and change sounds, it's pretty simple. So on the right side of the product, it says voice select. Again, not voice select, instrument. Well, could be. Could be a vocal, could be a scat, could be, could be saxophone, trumpet, guitar. And I don't know why I'm making these motions. Maybe you don't know what a trumpet does unless I do this. Saxophone. All right. You have right 1, right 2, right 3. So you can put up to 3 sounds all together at once, or you can just choose 1. So right now, I'm going to go to this, and whatever one is lit is what's activated. Right now, right 1 is on, 2 and 3 are off. Okay? Now go back up to the screen here. If you see it, can you see that okay? You see where it says steel acoustic pick on the screen? And right underneath it says right 1. And you see how right 1 is white. Can you see that? Someone nod. Someone nod their head. Okay, all right. And you'll see the other 2 says right 2, right 3, but it's kind of shaded. It just means there's always something that's going to be there, okay? Doesn't mean it's on. It's ready to be played. So there's a harmonica and what they call a 70s sucate warm. That looks like one of those old 70s digital pianos that you could carry around, electric pianos. And what I'm going to do, for the sake of this session, what I want to do is turn off the right 1, and I want to change the harmonica to, say, a saxophone. Okay? Now, it's off right now. To turn it on, you push the right 2 button on the panel there. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is just go over and press it, and it brings me up to the harmonica. And there's all your choices of sounds in the sound categories. Saxophone is, which button do you think I'm going to press? Any guesses?
Woodwind.
Woodwind.
Very good guess. All right. And what do we have here? Smooth tenor sax.
Oh,
Now, let me play a few notes of that and see how I like, if I like it or not. I think I'm just going to leave it. I like it. Okay, let's see here. So let me play a couple. Let me play a what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to turn main variation C on, and I'm going to try it out. I'll probably use the music before I botch it up. But I actually like that. So what I'm going to do is I stopped it. Here's when you're saving presets, I commonly do this just to be on the safe side. But when I stop it like that, a lot of times I'll just make sure my sync start button is lit. The reason why I do that personally is because if I decide to just start with that preset later on, it'll automatically start when I'm playing. Otherwise, you have to remember to turn it back on. So I'm going to push memory. What number am I on?
3.
2.
3.
3,
3.
2, 3.
2.5.
Okay,
4.
so number one, number one was the guitar with main variation A and intro 3 already. Number 2, I did the exact same thing, but I had main variation B. Now I'm on number 3. Okay. Okay. All right. So, and I'm going to create another setup. So let's have some fun here. I may change this later on, but let's see here. Okay, so I've got the saxophone on. Get my music up so I play the notes right. There we go. Oh, okay. Okay, let me just try something here. I have the saxophone on. All right. I'm going to keep the saxophone on, but I'm thinking I want to use maybe I've done this before. I want to add some strings to it, okay? But I don't want to change the saxophone. So let me go to the home screen so you can see this so I don't have to keep going camera to camera. Right now, smooth tenor sax is in right 2. I don't want to change it. I want to keep it. What I want to do is change the right 3, okay? Now, by the way, I mentioned that you have to touch the button on the panel. You don't. Okay, if you can touch it on the panel, or if you get your finger just right and you touch it, you can activate it there. Whoops. Maybe you get a little eraser. I got big pointer finger. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the right 2 and find me. Actually, no, I'm going to leave it on. I'm going to turn on right 3, and then I'm going to touch the right 3 picture, and I'm going to change it to strings. And let me find some strings that I like to combine with the tenor sax. Now let's listen. I mean, that could work, but I don't like it because I think it's a little on the harsh side. So let's see. Let me try this one. Now that can kind of work, but I don't know if you could hear it, but the warm string, Seattle warm, sounds like it's an octave up compared to the saxophone. Let me just poke around until I find something I like. Let's see. Oh, you know what? This might work. You see where it says Keno strings low? My guess is that the Keno strings low means that that string is an octave lower. Let's see. That's actually a nice little blend. Let's try it out. I'm going to put on main variation D. Here we go. Oh, wait. I'm already past that part of the song, so we go. Ooh, I actually like that. I don't know if you do, but I love it. So I'm going to push memory. What number am I on? Trick question.
3.
4. Good answer, Donald.
Oh,
You said 4. You said 3, but you were thinking 4. I just know it.
okay.
All right. So what we've done so far is we've created 4 great, I think, great presets, thanks to you. Great audience here. The influence is overwhelming. And what I did on that last one, by the way, again, I changed it to I added the strings low with it, and they're together. And I have main variation D on. Now, when I'm looking at my music here, it does say this particular version. Actually, I think I did this version. It has a repeat sign in there, and it looks darker than the other music, so I must have edited this song. So what I did is I ended up doing a repeat on the song, okay? But that's a good starting point for the song. One other thing that I do from time to time is certain parts of the song I like to transpose up a half step, okay? And I actually had a student yesterday ask me, where's a good place to do that in the song? Sometimes, some of the common places are if you're at the end of a song and you're going to go back and repeat, that's a good place to do it. Sometimes it could be during a chorus or a bridge or part of the song that's not the verse. So for example, let me go to number 3 here where we were doing this. Watch what's going to happen. Ready? Oh, it transposed back. Do you know why it transposed back? Because remember, as we were saving it, we were saving the transpose. So if I decide I want to do that, that's why sometimes I don't save the transpose. Because I like to manually change it when I feel like it. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I do. But let's say in this song, I want to specifically change the transpose right there. So let me go back to number 3. Okay, let me go back to number 3. That's set up that way. And here, number 4 is the one that we're going to go into with the transpose, right? So you could do this one of 2 ways. On number 4, I can go back and resave it and transpose it up. Or I can go back to number 3 and save another preset to transpose up. And here's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take number 4, okay, and I'm going to save it on number 5, memory 5, okay? Now let's go back to number 3. I want to transpose there. Okay, but you notice I have to use a finger somehow. So rather than reaching up and hitting here, maybe I'll save that same preset, but in a different key. So right now, it's already up a half step. So now I'm just going to resave it. Memory, 4. And if I do that, I have to make sure 5 is also in that same key. Memory, 5. Okay, and then just for the heck of it, I'm going to put on ending number 3 and save that on number 6, memory 6. So here's what we created. One has with the intro 3 on and main variation A. Number 2 doesn't have an intro, second preset, main variation B. 3 has with main variation C. 4 is the exact same thing but transposed up a half step. And then 5 has the same setup with main variation D and strings. And then 6 is really the same with an ending. Okay? Let's see how it works out.
Question.
That was for you, Don. Yes.
Question. You saved those 5 presets there, right? If you power the machine off, are they gone?
No, they stay
They'll
in
come
there.
back again, okay?
They stay there until you do one of two things. Well, if you do a reset, of course, but they do one of two things. They stay there until you either change them or resave other presets, or if you push a playlist or other just like any other product, these are constantly changing. So you can, if I want to save them, I had a whole class just on this. So I'm going to ask you to I go back and find the one that we taught a class specifically on saving presets and naming them and all sorts of things, putting them on the USB. But here's the short version. So I want to save my work now so I don't accidentally, because I do that myself sometimes. But if you do, it'll warn you. If you start to load something else, it'll say, hey, you want to save your work first? Let's see if I don't goof me up. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push. Let me go back here. So some of you, this is a little newer. Okay. So your 1 through 10, to the right of it's the freeze button and the memory button that I referred to. To the left of it, it says registration bank, and then right below it says select. There's a minus and a plus. If you press the two together, when you press the two, you don't have to press it and hold it. Just press the two together and release. What happens is, I'm going to press the two together. Ready? It pulls up whatever screen I might have been on last. Okay? And I'm going to go up in the top left corner and just push the user button.
So it has USB.
Okay? Now this is cool because this part works like a computer. And what I mean by that is you can save this preset anywhere. You can create folders and subfolders. And so you could see there it says Marco Mendes playlists. There's Richard, some presets someone gave me, a friend I made, famous people. So, and then I created a folder called Robert. So I think I'm going to do is put them in there. But let's, just for the fun of it, let's pretend that I forgot to save them. And I decided I want to put some other presets in. I'm going to put on Phantom. All right, you ready? Oh, you see that? It's giving me a warning. It's saying, hey, wait a second, some of the register, you've changed them. Once the product knows that you've made some changes and you saved some presets on there, even if you were just experimenting, it's going to warn you, hey, you want to save what you got first before you start loading things? So you technically have a little safeguard there. In this case, I do want to save. So I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to save them. And now it's telling me, where do I want to save these presets? Well, I don't want to save it there. So I'm going to go back to the user, and I'm going to touch Robert. And in this case, I've kind of done this before, obviously. So I'm going to go to GENOS 2 class. And you see at the top right corner, it says, cancel, new folder. I can create a new folder if I want, whatever. Save here. I'm just going to put save here. And now I can title it. Why does it say My Girl? I'll tell you why. Because the last thing I loaded in was the My Girl presets from the playlist. So it just defaults to whatever the last title is there. So I'm going to change it. And if you press and hold the delete button, it just clears it off. And then you can just type it. What am I doing? Can't help falling. So the little arrow there, I'll do it kind of slowly to capital. And then I do the lowercase. Now watch this. Ready? As I type it, it automatically moves over to the next. Whoops. You can put icons too. Pretty cool. Symbol. There we go. Where is the apostrophe? Where are you? Oops. Can't. Am I missing it? Oh, you know what? That's comma. Where are you? Oh, you know what? There it is. I think. I've used a. That's too. You rascal. That's a backwards one. Well, I can't find the apostrophe on them. So
It's near the delete button.
Is it?
Look, down 3 over 1. You know, the other screen.
Let me clear that. Okay. All right. I don't know why it's giving me a hard time there.
Down 3, 1 to the left.
Yeah, but it's shaded out for some reason. I don't know why. Well, I'm just going to go with what I have here. So I'm just going to go there. And I think I'm going to use that one for now. I can always go back and retitle it. Can't, uppercase H-E-L-P. Okay. Oops, I don't want capitals. L-P. And then you can't help falling in love, ... Okay. And then once you've done with that, you press OK. And there it is. So it'll remain there. Now it's currently in the product. You can go a step further and you can put it on a USB if you want. You can copy it from here to a USB, and then you'll have it in both places, just like a computer. I have all my files saved here, and I have them saved on the computer. So if someone accidentally deletes stuff out of here, I can always get them back. And the cool thing about the way these presets work is when I want to load presets in here, for example, in the screen I have, I'll show you. You'll see in this particular, what I must have taught something on saving presets. Once I touch Phantom, the presets are automatically loaded. Number 2. That's cool. Now if I put on Can't Help Falling, instantly it's in there. So it's just instantly putting them in there. Now, the reason why it didn't give me the error message is because I didn't save anything here. Now, if I saved one preset at this point, and I go selecting another one, it's going to say, hey, wait, you did something different. Do you want to save those? It's pretty cool, okay? I forgot about those Phantom presets. I'll finish off the class with that. I like those settings. All right, here we go. Had a little fun there. Okay, well, couple things. So, if you're wondering where the last Funshop I did about 2 weeks ago today, it has not posted yet because it's in my computer. So what happens is Don's classes, they all come to me, Joni's classes, all the addition. and I download them all, and then sometimes I get a few days behind, and they just kind of stack up in my downloads. And the other day I was going through and getting them uploaded, scheduled, and I went, oh my God, I forgot I just had this GENOS class. So that one's going to be posted today. And then I'll also put it on Patreon as well. And on the Patreon, tonight's class, I'm sorry, the class that was 2 weeks ago, tonight on Patreon, I'm going to put the presets to Imagine because I promised that I'd do that, and I never did it. So that's going to be on tonight. But you have to get those presets from the Patreon. I can't put them on YouTube. Today's class, when it posts, and it'll be on YouTube, but when it goes on Patreon, I will put the presets that we created together here with Can't Help Falling in Love. I think there were, what, 6 or 5 we did, so I'll put those on there as well, okay? So I hope you learned something today. Hope you learned at least one thing, maybe 2, 3 if you're lucky. And I wanted to try to do a little bit different class and show you how we just setting it up, saving it along the way, using some of the features kind of as we go, okay? So thank you so much, everybody. Always glad to see your happy faces on. Stay safe. Keep playing music every day. Every day. And my new thing is be kind to one another. It seems like there's a lot of drama in the world these days. In every aspect, right? From wars to politics to everything. And so music is the one thing that we can all agree is great for the soul. It's, it's a great thing. So be kind to one another. And thank you so much. See you real soon.